I couldn't wait to start this one. So we'll be hanging out together just for a little bit, savvy travelers, until it's 9 o'clock and we can get started. And I'm so excited. I want you to notice, please, that I'm calling you a savvy traveler because we are traveling on this planet, our journey of life, right? And you are aware that there's more than meets the eye to how we can create this world, to how we can get the life that we want. And that's what we're experimenting with. We are experimenting with that unseen force. We're connecting with that power that we're learning a little bit about. And this is fun. We're having fun. And today's experiment, I'm really excited to share with you. But we want to have fun with this because whatever we want wants to hang around with somebody that's fun, right? So, or somebody that's having fun. So let's dive in to our chapter for today. Experiment. Oh, how did you do with those cars? I mean, I tell you, the colors of the cars, I was seeing, I call it champagne, but it's not really champagne. It's a little more faded than that sunset beige. I saw at least 6 today when I was on my walk. It's crazy, crazy. And I chose purple feathers. Who chose purple feathers and who chose butterflies? Just pop it in the chat or stick it in the Facebook group. It's just fun to know which one you were drawn to see. So experiment number 3. The Alby Einstein Principle. You too are a field of energy. It's right under your fingers, baby. That's all you have to understand. Everything is right under your fingers. Ray Charles, American singer and pianist. The premise. I'm not going to bore you with an entire text on quantum physics. I've read dozens, and believe me, they're not pretty. But there are a couple of rumors going around that must be quashed before we go further. For starters, who you think you are is not who you really are. You think you have a limited life, something like 70 or 80 years, and then you wrinkle up, get rheumatism, and keel over. Kaboom, it's all over. But this isn't any more true than that dream you had last night about the tall blonde. Your body is an imposter, a tiny fraction of who you really are. 90%, 99% of who you are is invisible and untouchable. This body, I think, is Pam Grout, this skinny 5'10" woman with perpetual complexion problems, is just a speck of who I really am. No more the real me than those 2-month-old baby pictures where I'm wearing the embarrassing pink bonnet. Don't feel bad if you've fallen for the trap that you, your body, and the world around you are nothing but matter. It's not easy standing on the brink of a revolution. These new ideas that scientists are finally starting to take seriously, and they're not really that new. They've been around for, oh gosh, forever, right? I mean, I remember hearing about them in the 70s. These new ideas that scientists are finally starting to take seriously are challenging everything we believe about how our world works and how we define ourselves. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Everything you know about the universe and its laws is more than likely to be 99.99% wrong. Fred Alan Wolf, PhD, American quantum physicist. What Einstein discovered and what the famous equation E = mc² means is that mass and energy are basically two forms of the same thing. Energy is liberated matter, and matter is energy waiting to happen. There's a huge amount of energy trapped in every living thing. You, making the assumption that your average size human being contain no less than 7 × 10 to the 18th. 7 × 10 with a little 18 written above it, above the 10, joules, Joules, of potential energy. That may not mean much to you now, but let's pretend you want to make a point. If you were a bit more cunning and knew how to liberate this energy, you could use it to explode yourself with the force of 30 very large hydrogen bombs. So welcome, Daniela. We are reading Pam Grout's E², and we are on experiment number 3. So we're going to just right now try this experiment that Pam learned from the energy pioneer, Donna Eden. Perhaps you've heard of her. Bring your palms towards each other. We're going to do this together. Bring your palms towards each other like you're about to clap, and start 3 inches before your hands make contact. Now twist your wrists so you make an X. Your wrists should be at the center. Oh, like this, I'm sorry. Your wrists should be at the center, still about 3 inches apart. Draw your attention to the space between your wrists, because your wrists contain several energy centers. The energies will connect, and most likely you will feel some sort of sensation in the area between them. Try moving your wrists about 1 inch closer and then a few inches back, and just play with that and notice how and what you feel. At each moment, this just confirms that you are energy. At each moment, you mold and shape this energy by your consciousness. A fun thing to do is even to do that with a friend, like if you've ever done it with your hands, and you can put your hand on their back and think happy, happy thoughts and ask them what they're feeling, and then think something mean and nasty and ask them what they're feeling. And you always want to end with a happy thought, but they can often feel that energy pull. And you could even do that with this or even the hands, and just think what happy and notice what happens, and then think something not so happy and then notice what happens. And that's just your energy expanding and contracting because of your thoughts. And how you vibrate affects what you pull in from the interlocking, interbalancing, ever-moving energy field in which you swim. So watch what you think. There is no you and them. Anyone who is not shocked by physics has not understood it. Niels Bohr, Danish physicist. As if you didn't already have enough weirdness to contend with, I'm going to throw in one more tiny detail. Everything in the physical world as we know it is connected to every other thing in the physical world. You are attached and engaged to one underlying universal energy field. The field, as Daddy Alby Einstein says, is the only reality. Things appear separate because they're vibrating at different wavelengths, just like the note C vibrates at a different wavelength than B flat. Each of these vibrations creates a strand of electromagnetic fields, and that tells the energy where to go and what to do. We may look like separate bodies with separate ideas, but we are all just one big pulsating, vibrating field of consciousness. So the anecdotal evidence. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. Mark Twain, American author. Edwene Gaines is one of my favorite unity ministers. She's funny, she's wise, and she knows how spiritual principles work. She travels throughout the US giving prosperity seminars in which she teaches people how to live more abundant, God-centered lives. She tells us a hilarious story about her first big demonstration. A demonstration, according to Unitics, which that is folks who hang out at Unity churches, is when you pull something you want or need out of thin air, more or less. At the time of Edwene's first demonstration, she was new to spiritual principles and she was broke. As she says, I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together, but she heard this crazy rumor that not only did God like her, but he wanted to open the gates of heaven and pour out his blessings if she just learned how to direct her energy. And first she had to know what she wanted and when she wanted it. That was easy. Within 15 minutes, Edwene filled a whole yellow legal pad with her desires: new green shoes, a new male partner, a new car, and so on. She decided she wanted a week's vacation to Mexico City. She'd never been there, but she figured it would be a great place to practice her Spanish. And besides, she wanted to see the Pyramid of the Sun, the Pyramid of the Moon, and Diego Rivera's paintings. Edwene didn't have money for the trip, so writing it down was, as she put it, a bit of a joke. But she figured, what the heck? She even went down to the travel agent, looked at brochures, and made a tentative reservation 3 months in advance of the date she decided she wanted to travel. I figured the worst thing that could happen is I'd be embarrassed and have to cancel. That's only because you don't feel rich, her teacher said. You're not vibrating like a rich person. Well, I could have told him that, Edwene replied. Have you taken a look at my checking account lately? I'm having trouble paying my electric bill. That's why you need to go out and do something to make yourself feel rich, her teacher insisted. Edwene decided her biggest challenge was the grocery store. I was one of those who bought the bare minimum: beans, cornbread, flour, the basics. I didn't dare splurge on any of that foo-foo stuff, nothing like bubble bath. I had a budget. So the next time she went to the grocery store, she decided to saunter over to the gourmet counter, and she noticed a bottle of olive stuffed with almonds. She took one look at that and she knew that was what rich people ate. So she bought it, took her groceries home and called her friend Lana. Lana, I'm coming over. We're going to sit by your pool. We're going to get out your new crystal wine glasses and drink a bottle of wine you just bought. We're going to eat the olives I just splurged on, and we're going to pretend we're going on that exotic vacation to Mexico City. And so that's what they did. They sat by the pool and they dreamed. Lana was so excited by this dream that she too wanted to go to Mexico City. And the very next day, she went to the travel agency and made her reservations. Within a week, Lana's mother called her and said, hey, guess what? I'd like to pay for your ticket to Mexico City. And I was the one doing the affirmations, Edwene jokes. How does she get it? A few weeks later, the travel agent called Edwene and informed her that unless she came down to pay for her tickets that day, she was going to have to let them go. Okay, I'll be right there. Even though she felt like old Mother Hubbard with her bare cupboards, she got in her car and decided it was time to have a severe talking to with God. God, now I've done everything I know how to do here. I've made my list. I've done my affirmations. I've been acting rich. And the way I figure, the rest is up to you. I'm big guy. Since the travel agent is calling, I'm going ahead and going down, and that money better be there. On the way to the travel agency, she got a hunch to stop at her mom's house. Now, I know myself well enough to know I was probably thinking if I told my mom about Lana's mom paying for the ticket, she'd agree to buy my ticket. She went to her mom's house and acted as sweet as she could be and told her mom about the vacation. She finished up her story and looked at her mom and said, and you know what? Lana's mom even agreed to pay for Lana's ticket. Isn't that wonderful? That is wonderful, Edwine's mom said. What are you going to do? Discouraged, Edwine concluded her visit and started to walk out the door. Mom asked if she'd be kind enough to run out and get her mail. Her mom's house had a long driveway, so Edwine walked out to the mailbox, kicking at stones, cursing under her breath. On the way back, Edwine decided to take a little look-see through the mail. She noticed a letter addressed to her. Now I understand I haven't lived at my mom's house for 15 years. And she did not have a clue what the return address was. And so she ripped open the envelope. And lo and behold, there was a letter from an old roommate who had gotten married since they'd lived together 15 years ago. At the time, they were both young and poor and forced to decorate with what Edwine calls early Salvation Army. Not 3 months after they'd moved in together, Edwine landed a job overseas and left the roommate apartment and the furniture behind. And here's what the letter said. Dear Edwine, I was looking through the Houston phone book the other day and saw your parents' address and wanted to tell you that I've gotten married and moved into a nice house with my husband. We furnished our house with new furniture, so I sold that furniture we bought 15 years ago. Turns out, would you believe it, that some of that stuff was valuable. I didn't feel right keeping all the money since we worked so hard to furnish the place. Please find a check for half the money. And do you know, said Edwine, it was the exact amount I needed to pay for my ticket, to the penny, plus $100 for spending. I mean, cool, right? So we're going to be doing this. The Western scientific community, and actually all of us, are in a difficult spot because in order to maintain our current mode of being, we must ignore a tremendous amount of information. Cleve Baxter, plant researcher and former CIA agent. Even though this principle is one of the cornerstone spiritual principle, remember, spiritual just means the opposite of material. It actually first came to light not in the church, but in the physics lab. Yes, it was scientists who first discovered that despite all appearances to the contrary, human beings are not matter, but continually moving waves of energy. In this experiment, you're going to prove that your thoughts and feelings also create energy waves. Here's what you do. You get 2 wire coat hangers, and then we're going to untwist them at the neck until you have it straight. So it's really pretty easy. No doubt you've got some of these in your closet or can get a hold of them. Well, I untwisted one before and it was a lot easier. There we go. And what you're going to do is you're going to make it so that you have kind of like this. So it's kind of straight. Let's straighten this out a little bit so it points straight. I've already done another one, but this is good. And it says to straighten it so that this is all straight too, so that it doesn't impede. And then what we're going to do is you take both of these. I'm just going to do it with one right now. And then just make them into this L shape. So you've got the point, and pretend you're double-fisted gunslinger like Matt Dillon. So you're going to have one in each hand, okay? And they'll flap around at first. So as you're holding it, you might notice, look, just you can even just see what I'm doing here. I'm just holding it and it's kind of bouncing around. And then with my eyes straight ahead, vividly recall something unpleasant from your past. Depending on the intensity of your emotion, the wands will either stay straight ahead, weak intensity, or will point inward, tip to tip. So that's if you've got the two, it's going to have your energy focusing toward the middle. Okay. And that's what you're going to be paying attention to. The wands are following the electromagnetic bands around your body, which have contracted, just like we did with our hands at the beginning, contracted to follow the energy, the negative frequency generated by your unpleasant thought and emotion. Now make your frequencies turn positive by thinking about something you love or something that makes you feel joyful. The wands will now expand as your energy field expands. Okay, now keep your eyes straight ahead, but focus your attention on an object far to the right or far to the left and watch your wands follow your thoughts. The more you play with this, the more adept you'll become at feeling the vibrational shift as you change from one frequency to another. So what I'm going to show you is even, I was playing with this too, and it just even follows how my eyes, I'm not holding tight, but I'm just looking, I'm not even thinking, but it's following my eyes. If you can see this moving, and now I'm looking ahead, and it gets a little stuck at the light, but then it goes over. And the more you do this, the stronger you can see that happen. And I'm not asking it to do anything, but look, it's coming straight back to the middle again. I mean, how powerful is your intention, right? Whatever you focus on, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a lab report. You're going to find, this is your homework assignment, your experiment, this next until Thursday. The lab report sheet. I'll put the link to get the one for today down in, or to get on the mailing list so you get the drip. I'll put it down here in the bottom. The lab report sheet, the principle, the Alby Einstein Principle. Our theory is you are a field of energy in an even bigger field of energy. And the question that we're asking ourselves is, could it be true that I'm made up of energy? The hypothesis, if I am energy, I can direct my energy. The time required is just 2 hours of experimentation. And then you write down today's date and the time you begin. And the approach is, whoa, baby, with nothing but my powerful thoughts and energy, I can make these wands rock and roll. And just think about what other magic I can undoubtedly do. As a famous president once said, bring it on. Research notes. So you make note of everything, you maybe, what you were thinking about and the intensity of the swing or whatever. To be a true explorer in science, to follow the unprejudiced lead of pure scientific inquiry, is to be unafraid to propose the unthinkable, to prove friends, colleagues, and scientific paradigms wrong. Lynn McTaggart, author of The Field. So I cannot wait to hear how and what fun you have with this experiment. If you know anyone who is interested in this kind of stuff or you think would get a kick out of it, please share, have them join the group. We're going to be going on. We've got 9 experiments. So we've got 6 to go, and we're meeting every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, same time on Thursday, to do a different experiment from Pam Grout's E Squared. Oh, notice my bookmark. All right, guys. Savvy travelers, it has been a pleasure to hang out with you today, and see you Thursday. Tell me how it's going. All right. Bye for now.